Hello and welcome to the Helios blog. My name is Helios. Today we're going to talk about why men get married. Are marriage a famous topic for any seduction blog? Today I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why men get married. I hope that this article gives you some insight into why getting married in the West is a terrible idea. It worked in the past, but it does no longer, as old concepts have been perverted into a new reality, one used to control and subdue. Here are 10 reasons why men get married. You'll see that these reasons aren't necessarily good ones. Off we go. Enjoying my content? Check out my blog at heliosblog.com. On YouTube, you can support me by liking and subscribing. I'm also on Spotify if you'd prefer a podcast. If you're interested in my books, The Strategist Guide to Seduction and Quotes to Live By, they're available on Amazon. In addition, you can follow me on Patreon at the Helios blog for exclusive content. On with the show. Reason 1. Men love their partner. Many men get married because they love their partner. Many men mistake love for the honeymoon phase, that phase of a relationship where everything is going amazing since everything is new. Most of the time, for most men, what they're feeling for their partner isn't love but infatuation. Infatuation is a terrible reason to get into a legally binding contract with a person. Those feelings will dim, and when they do, destruction looms. What you should do instead is enjoy your partner, enjoy the feelings, sleep with your partner, and treat them amazingly. Don't enter into a legally binding agreement that screws over your future, however. You should not trust your feelings with this, but rather your reasoning and logic. Reason 2. One-itis. Another reason that men get married is one-itis. One-itis is believing that the girl that you're with is special and beautiful and perfect. People with one-itis believe that their girl is the one. That girl is not like the rest, and therefore it's totally fine to give her a loaded gun to point at your head that she can shoot whenever she likes. No matter how beautiful, special, or amazing your partner is, you should never give them the ammunition to destroy your life. Just because they definitely won't use it now, or wouldn't use it in 5 years, doesn't mean that they should have the ability to wield such power over you. Those that enter into marriage, knowing the risks, have no sense of self-preservation. They're letting their feelings get in the way of actual reality, which heavily disfavors men in marriages. She's a flawed human like everyone else, and should not be allowed to wield the life-destroying power that divorce has over man. You should absolutely avoid this outcome for yourself. Reason 3. Their girlfriend is pressuring them into marriage. You'd be surprised how many times men simply cave into their girlfriend wanting to marry them. This is what happens when you allow your sexual access to be held in the hands of one woman. She wields power over you and can use it to pressure you into doing things you don't want to do. Many men simply get married because they're afraid that if they refuse to agree with their girlfriend, she'll leave them and the sex that they have will dry up. Men then get into marriage, and within 3 years the sex has dried up completely due to boredom and betaization, and now they can't leave. It's an awful fate to befall any man. Instead, the man should cultivate multiple options so that his access to sex is safe. Once he has that, no girl has the power to pressure him into anything, and if he wants to make a decision as stupid as marriage, he can choose to do so on his own terms and not on hers. Do not let your girlfriend pressure you into marriage. Honestly, if you've been reading this blog for a while, you know a girlfriend in the traditional sense is a terrible idea and you wouldn't even have one. But it's for you men that haven't gotten the memo. Marriage is a terrible deal and you shouldn't be strong-armed into it. Number 4. Lack of sexual options. This reason ties directly into the previous reason. Many men get married because it implies that they'll have a woman sexually forever. This is not the case in modern society and in fact was never the case. Women in long-term relationships with men taper off the sex after the 3-year mark. They become sexually bored at that point and want a different sexual partner. It's not your fault. That is how women are wired for serial monogamy. Men are wired to want multiple women from the start. If you as a man get married because you think it will buy you access to sex for the rest of your life, think again. You'll simply be financially trapped while having no sex and having to deal with the drama of a live-in partner who's constantly haranguing you. A much better bet is to have a serious, non-monogamous girlfriend who you live with and have children with a parenting plan and finances already sorted, while also going and sleeping with other women on the side. She, in this arrangement, would also be allowed to sleep with other men if she chooses. In this way, your relationship can account for actual biological realities. Instead of burying your head in the sand about the realities of the world, you're much better off just understanding what the real world is like and adapting to it. You'll actively achieve long-term happiness this way, and not have sexual starvation coupled with misery, a common fate for men in traditional marriages. Reason 5. Societal programming. Many men get married because it's what people do. They've seen it on TV, in movies, and all their friends and loved ones have done it. Naturally, it's the only option to these people. It's time for you to hear this message. If you act as a sheep, you'll be slaughtered as one. Just because everyone else is jumping off a bridge does not mean that you should do it too. Weren't you taught that as a kid? Society is wrong about marriage, and that's why the divorce rate is so high. If you want to be miserable like the rest of society, do as they do. You'll be praised for your amazing decision-making while quietly living a life of desperation as you realize you made the wrong choice. Most people, 80% plus, are miserable in marriage for one reason or another. Do not be so arrogant as to assume that you'll be in the 20%. You won't be. You're not boring and low sex drive. The really sad part is that if you advertise that you're going your own way, you're going to be shunned by some of your friends and family. In my opinion, living an actual good life is much better than living a life that's praised by the masses. It's your choice ultimately which life path you choose. There are negatives to each. Your choices are the following. You could live a life that you enjoy which makes you happy but have others scorn you. Or you could follow the societal script to the letter and be praised but be miserable. Neither choice is ideal, but I know which one I would choose any day. Reason 6. Their mom told them to. It's terribly sad that many men live a life of misery because they wanted to please their mother. Their mother said that they should live a life a certain way, and for fear of being disliked or criticized by their mother, these men never did anything for themselves. Your mom is not living your life. You are. Ultimately, you're going to have to choose whether you're going to want to live a life your mom praises but you hate, or live a life which you enjoy but your mom tolerates. Notice how this parallels almost exactly the societal programming reason for why men get married. There's a reason for that. Societal programming teaches men to act in ways that favor women in basically all situations. It only makes sense that your mom would teach you a way to behave that made you the best man for women, a slave to women's collective will. As sad as that sounds, your mom's goal is not to make you into an alpha male, but the best beta male a woman could get. If you listen to her advice, you will succeed and become an amazing slave to women. Some men are lucky and have moms that teach them to be alpha, but these are a huge minority. If you're on this seduction blog, chances are your mom is like mine and is hell-bent on making you into the best beta you can be. This is the world's test. Can you overcome the feeling of guilt that comes with going in a direction that's better for you? If you can, you're an alpha and you win. If you can't, you're a beta and women win. It's a win-win for humanity. You'll only end up happy in one of these two scenarios, however. And hint, it's not the beta one. Reason 7. All their friends are getting married. Some men simply get married because all their friends are getting married. What a ridiculous reason. If all your friends were shooting heroin, I hope you'd make the correct decision and leave. You wouldn't try and fit in and do heroin with them. I mean, some of you would, but I digress. Do not do things just because your friends are doing them. Your friends are not the experts. Only you can decide what's best for you. Don't let your friends decide when you should get married. Since you know that marriage is a stupid idea, I would hope that you have the self-control to resist this idiotic decision. Peer pressure is a terrible reason to do anything, and marriage is no different. Be your own man, not a follower who bends to the will of the group. Reason 8. They think it's the next step in life. All men experience a feeling of wanting to settle down eventually. It's what happens when your testosterone lowers. By the way, you should exercise and if necessary do testosterone replacement therapy to make sure that your testosterone never drops to a low level even as you age. Just because you feel as though you want to settle down doesn't mean you should settle into an idiotic arrangement that heavily disfavors you and puts your balls in a girl's purse. Just get into a serious non-monogamous girlfriend relationship or an open marriage with a girl that you really fancy. These arrangements account for actual biological realities and won't make you miserable. You can actually have kids in these arrangements too and have a stable family. You allow yourself sexual variety, which you'll need until you're old and grey, and you allow her to also sleep with men on the side when she gets sexually bored of you. This will ironically create a much more stable arrangement, as actual biological realities are not getting in the way of your relationship. You can both actually be honest with each other in these arrangements. Reason 9. Men think it's the best way to raise children. Many men know the statistics and know that their kids have better outcomes if they have both a mother and father in a stable household. I agree. I simply disagree that you need a piece of paper that represents a legal contract with the government in order to have this. You can have a serious, non-monogamous relationship with a woman where you're living together and raise children in that household. In that arrangement, you'd also have some drama-free way of sleeping with women on the side, like a small apartment for yourself. You would still be the good father to your children, and your sexual appetite would be satisfied, allowing you to retain your masculine edge, something that's absolutely needed in order to raise children properly. Don't let society tell you what is best, think for yourself, and realize that not everything you have been taught is for your benefit. Reason 10. False beliefs about finances. Some men get married believing they'll have so much more money after marriage. I mean, you get a tax break and you have two people combining their incomes, right? Wrong. Two people spend much more money than one. At best, you'll remain at parity with how you were before you got married. At worst, and this is the most common occurrence, you'll get the situation of his money is our money and my money is my money. This means that your amazing wife will be spending all of her money on herself and some of your money too. What that means is that you actually end up in the negative financially in a marriage. And this is why you should always keep your finances separate from a woman. I also haven't mentioned divorce. If you do divorce, your finances are wrecked. You're going to have to pay alimony and child support. Good luck if that is your fate. And it will be if you marry in the West, around 78% of the time, statistically speaking. By the way, women, they initiate most of the divorces, around 80%. Conclusion. Men marry for many reasons, and many of these reasons are idiotic. They're either peer pressure reasons, or they're reasons that are related to societal programming. These are reasons that exist to control and manipulate you. Ultimately, it's your choice whether you agree to be used or not. Make the right choice for your future. It's your life.